The Organising Gate in Cluster B Pathology, Failure, Defences and the Question of Restoration. The Gate and its Collapse. In MPIT, the Organising Gate is not just a metaphor, it is the central holding architecture of the psyche. It contains the continuum from pre-verbal imprinting to unconscious drives to narrative selfhood and private behaviour. Its job is to mediate access, maintain continuity, and allow ambivalence to be tolerated without overwhelming the system. In healthy development, this gate opens and closes flexibly, allowing enough access to pre-verbal material for growth, enough containment to prevent flooding, and enough permeability to move naturally towards the depressive position. In cluster B individuals, narcissistic, borderline, histrionic, and antisocial presentation, this gate is neither fully open nor simply hypertrophied. It is sealed over and guarded, a closed threshold between the self and the unbearable pain of early experience. The early setup, love as both gift and threat. Contrary to the common stereotype, most children who later develop cluster B pathology were not completely unloved. In fact, what makes their early experience so destabilizing is precisely that they did receive love, but it was unsafe. Intermittent attunement, the child experienced moments of warmth, play, eye contact, even idealization. These moments triggered the gate to open. The self felt momentarily whole. Painful rupture, but these moments were followed by shaming, rage, withdrawal, or exploitation. The good object turned bad, sometimes suddenly, sometimes predictably. This intermittent pairing of love and annihilation trained the child to expect that opening the gate would bring not safety, but terror. The defensive sealing of the gate. Faced with the impossible bind, wanting love but being destroyed by it, the psyche took the only survivable path. The organising gate slammed shut and was locked from within. The false self was installed outside the gate to act as a decoy and a regulator. Authentic affect, love, longing, grief was walled away on the inside, leaving the external personality to operate as a relational mask. This is the moment of psychic exile. The true self is effectively trapped behind the sealed gate. Why positive emotions become dangerous? Because the gate is sealed, positive emotions are no longer safe to experience. Love becomes a trigger. Intimacy, attunement, or kindness threatens to open the gate and release the annihilatory pain that lies behind it. Joy feels dysregulating. Happiness is associated with the moments just before rupture, so it cannot be trusted. Empathy is instrumentalized. Narcissists develop cold cognitive empathy as a tool while avoiding affective empathy, which would pierce the gate and make them vulnerable. Ambivalence becomes intolerable. The depressive position is effectively inaccessible because it requires the gate open enough to hold good and bad at once. The result is that narcissistic individuals can mimic love, especially in the idealization phase, but cannot sustain it. The moment their internal gate begins to move, terror floods the system and they retreat to grandiosity, devaluation, or rage. Collapse and the survivor's mirror. When a narcissist collapses, the difference between them and the survivor becomes clear. Survivor, the hypertrophied gate, finally gives way, flooding them with pain. But because their gate was open, however strained, they can, in time, metabolize this pain, rebuild object constancy, and reintegrate. The narcissist, the sealed gate never opens. Collapse leads to defensive rage, further splitting, and deeper retreat into the false self. Integration is blocked because the terror behind the gate remains unprocessed. This is why survivors eventually reach the depressive position, while narcissists rarely do. Not because they never had love, but because their love became walled off and their entire psychic economy is organized to keep it that way. The theoretical possibility of restoration. MPIT holds a nuanced, compassionate, but rigorously grounded stance. The organising gate could, in theory, be softened and reopened, but this is exceptionally rare and has not yet been reliably produced in any known intervention. For this to occur, several conditions must be met. Extreme safety. The individual must experience a holding environment strong enough that opening the gate does not feel annihilatory. This is difficult to achieve, as most therapeutic or relational contexts trigger defensive sealing rather than soften it. Microdosed exposure. Access to the pre-verbal terror must be titrated in very small doses. Opening the gate too far, too fast will lead to re-traumatization, psychotic decompensation, or complete withdrawal. Narrative repair. The person must begin to re-author their life story so that love is no longer synonymous with pain. This allows the gate to stay open long enough for ambivalence to be processed. Sustained containment. This process requires time, most likely years and years, and a consistent relational or therapeutic container that does not retaliate, abandon, or overindulge. What we actually see clinically. Most of what is reported as narcissistic change is behavioral, not structural. Reduced acting out, less rage, fewer impulsive devaluations, pro-social adjustments, better ability to function in work or family roles, momentary affective softening, occasional flashes of grief or empathy, but fragile, context-bound, and quickly defended against. These are important outcomes, but they do not prove that the organising gate has been reopened. They show that behaviour can be modified and that the false self can adapt to new demands, not necessarily that the true self has been reintegrated. MPIT's clinical position. MPIT does not promise the return of love. What it offers is this: a map of why love became inaccessible, a framework for symptomatically reducing the hypertrophy or defensive ceiling of the organising gate, a research hypothesis that under optimal conditions, gate softening could allow access to love, grief, ambivalence, and authentic empathy. But this remains unproven and ethically must be treated as experimental. Survivor implications. For survivors, this reframe is liberating. It explains why the narcissist seem capable of love during idealization, because their gate was briefly, dangerously ajar. It explains why devaluation feels annihilatory, because the gate slams shut, taking the maternal gaze with it. It clarifies why waiting for the real them to return is futile unless they do profound work to reopen their gate. Survivors are thus freed from the cycle of hoping for unassisted reintegration in the narcissist and can focus on their own gate, which remains fully capable of repair. Peace out. Loads of love.